Hello, welcome to Game On, coming to you this week in 3D.
If you have a 3D-enabled browser routed through a Pro Future ZRX monitor using triple HDMI output on infinity setting in a partridge in a pear tree.
Coming up.
Eva, auf Wiedersehen.
They came, they wore stupid glasses, they made GeForce the video game. We chart the highs and lows of 3D gaming and review the latest attempt, James Cameron's Avatar.
Also this week, it's Johnny's turn to get on board with Tony Hawk Ride, the review.
And we take a lovely trip to the pits of hell with Dante's Inferno.
But first, Ubisoft are intent on changing the world, one game at a time.
First they bought a movie studio and with Assassin's Creed 2 pioneered the integration of cinema quality film production with gameplay development. One team behind it all.
Now they're bringing us James Cameron's Avatar in supercalifragilisticexpialidocious 3D.
The bad news is you probably won't be able to play it in 3D.
Well, kind of. Basically, to play it in 3D, you need a 3D-enabled TV, which you probably don't have.
You might, but you probably don't.
So the big 3D bang softens into a whimper, and what could have been a stonking selling point is reduced to 3 tiny words on the back of the game.
There's actually a 3,000-word disclaimer written underneath, but it's in a font so small you can only read it using the Hadron Collider.
I'll make it easy for you. If you want to play Avatar in 3D, first you need one of these TVs. Or one of these PC monitors.
Then you need an Xbox 360 or PS3 copy of the game with a corresponding console that supports the connection.
You will also need some 3D glasses. Now we haven't got any because they're not bundled with the game. That's because the type of gogs you need depends on the type of Magic TV you have.
After all that, you might also need a stiff drink.
But if you are one of the fortunate few, then good luck to you. For us mortals though, it's 2D all the way and the game lives or dies on its playability. There's trouble in paradise as you arrive on the distant world of Pandora.
You are a plucky young high flyer, part of the Avatar program, helping the army infiltrate and ultimately destroy the local population.
The central dilemma of both game and film, either join the indigenous resistance or fight with the human oppressors, is the same, while the outcome is likely to be rather different.
Morality aside, playing as the humans is a whole lot more fun, with their decent range of weapons, gadgets and gizmos far more exciting than the rather pathetic arsenal of the Na'vi.
While the world of Pandora is stunningly rendered and backdrops are often breathtaking, the mission-based gameplay is a massive disappointment.
Poor dialogue and a tacked-on plot provide the backdrop for surprisingly clunky, seen-it-all-before fare, with run-of-the-mill routines broken only by the odd pleasant surprise.
It's the simple things that keep you playing: an addictive reward system, some satisfying kills, and impressive gadgetry. But aside from occasional flourishes, Avatar is clunky and unengaging.
With the likes of Modern Warfare 2 setting the gameplay bar high this Christmas, James Cameron's Avatar doesn't even come close.
Go out and buy Assassin's Creed 2 if you want to see what Ubisoft can really do. For all the fuss and hype, Avatar, the game at least, is a massive missed opportunity.
While Ubisoft are definitely thinking along the right lines with both cinematic convergence and 3D, for now flashes of brilliance and huge potential just aren't enough.
We give James Cameron's Avatar a frustrating 6 out of 10.
3D gaming, to be fair, has always been a bit of a minefield.
For the last 20 years or so, developers have been screaming about their blockbuster true 3D games, but looking back, some barely make the first dimension.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it wasn't well thought out. Anyway, here's our guide to the highs and lows of 3D gaming, from the masterful to the Machiavellian.
Machiavellian? Isn't that a bit highbrow?
Yeah, it means opportunist, cunning and amoral.
Does begin with M though.
In 1980, the gaming world was flat, but at the dawn of the decade, developers first started feeling around the edges of 3D gaming, and in the same year, Atari brought out the cult classic Battlezone.
In a snub to Bob Marley fans everywhere, it spurned raster graphics for Vector, creating what many take to be the first virtual reality gaming title.
Okay, so it looks like something a primary school kid made out of pipe cleaners, but the tank-busting title nonetheless proved to gamers more was possible.
However, it wasn't until 1995 and the release of Descent that the first true 3D game was released, thereby starting the My Truth is Bigger Than Your Truth gaming war still raging to this day.
It was the 3D polygonal graphics engine which set Descent apart from its predecessors, which had so far relied on scaled-up 2D objects called sprites.
Moreover, the addition of count 'em, 6 degrees of movement helped cement its legacy as the first game played from a first-person perspective and powered by a 3D engine.
Hang about, I hear you cry. Where's Wolfenstein 3D?
Cram it, fanboy, I reply.
Hang on, that's not fair. You can't have a potted history of 3D gaming without mentioning Wolfenstein 3D.
While Wolfenstein 3D is often
wrongly
said to be the first 3D first-person shooter, it is nonetheless the one everyone remembers.
Certainly able to take the crown as the game which popularised FPS titles, the brilliant corridor-based gameplay is a blast from the moment you first escape your cell to the final encounter with Der Führer himself.
Eva, auf Wiedersehen.
Once that basic 3D dream was realised though, gamers began to look for pop-out visuals and a more immersive experience.
The first dalliance with this came from the Hindenburg of the gaming world, the Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy is so advanced it can't be viewed on conventional TV or LCD screens.
Nintendo's supposed New Dawn came in the form of this bizarre chunk of plastic.
Expecting you to trust them with your face, the developers invited you to look down the sniper-like goggles and be dragged into an amazing world of
nightmarish 3D gaming, more likely to irradiate your retinas than change the way you play forever.
Yep, suffice it to say, the Virtual Boy was not a roaring success.
Discontinued after little more than a year, it's since been confined to the annals of 3D gaming history.
The bin.
So the Virtual Boy was a hard lesson learned, and developers quite rightly went back to just making the existing 3D engines better, rather than having stuff leap out of the telly.
Now, after 14 years of technological advancement, developers are ready to try again.
GeForce, the game of Disney's guinea pig flick, has an optional off-axis display mode, allowing for pop-out visuals when used with traditional red and blue anaglyph glasses.
Not exactly a gaming revolution, but it is a fun ad, providing some welcome pizzazz to the gameplay.
Avatar is of course the game currently making the most significant progression, and while it's not exactly changed the world overnight, it's still no Virtual Boy.
The first three-dimensional stereo immersive 32-bit video game system ever.
So 3D gaming may not be totally there just yet, but we've by no means seen the last of it.
Eva, auf Wiedersehen.
So last week we befriended him, this week it's down to business.
Tony Hawk Ride has skidded off the rails a bit since its release, hitting some of the gnarliest reviews we've ever seen.
Gnarly means good.
Does it? I don't mean good. Bogusist. Hitted some of the most bogusist reviews?
Better.
Anyway, after meeting Big Tony himself and hearing great things about the game, we decided to sort the truth from the trash and put his claims to the test.
I think it gets you pretty close to experiencing the exhilaration of skating without actually having to know how to skate.
To an extent, Tony's right. It has made me reminisce about my days as a skater, but at the same time, it brings with it the same frustrations. I used to play Tony Hawk games to escape and pull off some cool things without actually having to know anything about skating. Unfortunately for this title, once you get off casual mode, it needs a lot of know-how to actually do anything.
I'm pretty confident that the board is going to last as long as the consoles.
I'll admit I'm very much impressed by the board. When I first found out about it, I thought it was going to be a piece of flimsy tat. However, it's sturdy, it's surprisingly fun to use, and while the game may not be quite as robust, it's still a peripheral worth hanging on to for future iterations.
Something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I never felt like the technology was ready. And now, with the advent of wireless controlling and motion sensing, it was the right time.
Tony, you're right about the timing, but the problem is the gameplay. As good as the board is, the game really lets the side down. It's difficult to master, there are a couple of nasty glitches, and criticism on the whole has been fairly well just. However, like so many franchises going out on a limb, things can only get better with sequels. There are going to be sequels, right, Tony?
That was the general plan. I mean, that's how I approached it all along, for sure.
Glad to hear it. Now, of course, there is one thing Tony didn't mention, and that's the price. I don't want to be one of those crotchety old people that says, £100, you could get a real board for £100, but, well, you could. Tony Hawk Ride is a novel idea, the peripheral is certainly impressive, I just don't think it's worth the money. Though of course, Tony, you wouldn't mention that since you probably don't pay for games. Go on, I bet you got Modern Warfare 2 free as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I actually got the night vision goggles.
Unbelievable.
So there you have it, and keep your eyes on our YouTube site for an exclusive chance to win a customised board by graffiti artist Paris, along with a copy of the game and another board to play on.
And finally, welcome to the gates of hell. Sit down, have a cup of tea and a biscuit.
The release date of Dante's Inferno has been...
Whoa, this isn't the game.
Well noticed, if you'll let me finish. Dante's Inferno, the animated movie, comes out on February the 8th on DVD and Blu-ray, a companion piece to EA's forthcoming game on Xbox 360, PS3 and PSP.
Oh, I'm so fed up with this.
What?
All this convergence, merchandise, movie tie-in business. I just want to play the game.
Chill out, Dead Space Downfall, that was...
Didn't watch it.
Neither did I. Still, if you're after more than just the game...
I'm not.
You can buy Dante's Inferno, the animated epic.
I'm not going to buy it.
Other people might want to buy it.
I'm not one of those people.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you know...
Don't say, do.
That doesn't make sense. Very finally, news just in. We've been told in the most deadpan way possible
Email.
that all pre-order copies of Darksiders from Game will receive a code to unlock an exclusive weapon called the Harvester.
I quote, "This ornate scythe comes from the arsenal of death himself and allows war to smite his foes from a distance with ease."
Awesome. We're off to saddle up for the apocalypse.
In 3D.
If they get it working in time.
More gaming garbage next week.
Hello, welcome to Game On, coming to you this...
Sorry, have you got a cold?
Yeah.
You just said Gabon. It's an African country.
No, I
definitely not
said
Game
Game
On.
On. Hello, welcome to Game On, coming to you this week in 3D.
If you have a 3D enabled browser routed through a pro... Sorry. Yeah, this is going to take a...
In 3D.
If you have a 3D enabled browser routed through a Pro Future ZRX monitor using triple HDMI and a...
That was good, though.
Yeah.
You were doing well. In 3D.
If you have a 3D enabled browser routed through a Sorry.
In 3D.
If you have a 3D enabled browser routed through a... Sorry.
In 3D.
If you have a 3D enabled...
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just say it after I do.
In
3D.
If you have a 3D enabled browser routed through a Pro Future ZRX monitor using triple HDMI and a...
Hello, welcome to Game... It's quite funny now. Hello, welcome to Game On, coming to you
Have
this...
you got a cold? You
Yeah.
just said Gabon.
I didn't say Gabon, I said Game On. Gabon's a country in West Africa.
Crowbar! But first, Ubisoft are changing the world one game at a time.
That was a bit serious.
First, they bought a
Movies? They want to make movies.
First,
It's like a cross between a music studio and a movie studio. It's a movie studio. Sorry. Could happen. So there you have it, and keep our eyes on your YouTube site. So there you have it, and keep your eyes on your... For Christmas Day's sake.